Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here today for what promises to be a dynamic and insightful debate. So, my name is Raven Rigel. I'll be your moderator for tonight's event, and we have Ishmael as our timekeeper for this debate. Before we dive into our debate, let me quickly go over the format and some ground rules so we can ensure a smooth and engaging discussion. So, first in our house rule, we have no ad hominem attacks. Means personal insult or attacks on character are strictly prohibited. Number two, no religious reference. Avoid any mention of religion during discussion or debates. Number three, use only Tagalog or English. Means speaking in mother tongue is not allowed. Lastly is no use of curse or foul language to maintain professionalism and at all times. So, our motion in this evening's debate is this House believes in gender-based selection of students, student leader, male, female, or LGBTQ++. This is timely and important issue that affects on how should a student leader must be chosen. So, let me introduce to you all audience to our debaters tonight in tonight's event. So we have the team of prosecution led by Aloysius Santones and team defense led by Ferry Redoblado. So we have two distinguished participants with us today. Team defense who will be arguing in favor of the motion, and then team prosecutor who will be arguing in opposition to the motion. So both speakers are well versed in this topic, and we are excited to hear their perspective. So for opening statement, each participant will begin with an opening statement. They will each have 3 to 5 minutes to present their initial arguments. So let's begin with our first debater, which is the lead prosecution, led by Aloysius Santones. And you have 3 to 5 minutes for your opening statement. Please begin.
So before I start my statement, let me greet you all, to our moderator, timekeeper, honorable opponents, and fellow debaters. Good evening. It is a pleasure to stand before you tonight to debate with the motion of leadership should not be gender-based. Why should we not base election of leaders by their gender? Leadership positions should be determined based on a person's qualifications, skills, personality, experience, and ability to lead regardless of their gender. By limiting leadership opportunities based on gender, we're not only denying talented individuals a chance to contribute but also perpetuating harmful stereotypes. According to Nina Simosko in year 2008, it's not really about gender at all, but rather it is about skills and ultimately the performance of a leader that matter most. If a diverse leadership team composed of individuals from various backgrounds, gender, and perspective can enrich the school environment and foster a more inclusive community. When students see leaders who reflect their own identities, they are more likely to be empowered and inspired. It's crucial to create a work environment that values diversity and inclusion, allowing individuals or specifically students of all gender to reach their full potentials. According also to UN Women in year 2017, studied by Hannah Pattermon in Colorado State University about the women in position of leadership. The number of women in position of leadership has been increasingly, but there is a large gap in political participation between men and women. However, there is an evidence to support that having women in positions of leadership within the political decision-making processes improves the policies being developed, whether they are successful or not. This study will examine whether this assertion can be supported as well as determining how economic systems are or will be impacted by women leaders. So that means the study highlights that while more women are taken on leadership roles, a significant gender gap in political participation remains. It suggests that women in political leadership positively influence policy outcomes and examines how their leadership might affect economic systems. Therefore, in our house, we believe it is an essential to promote equal opportunities for all students, regardless of their gender, to aspire to leadership roles. That's all. Thank you.
Now let's hear for our lead defense for his or her opening statement.
I am Ferry as Redoblado, the lead defense. So, honorable judges, esteemed members of the House, and my fellow debaters, we firmly stand on the defense side of this motion. This House believes in gender based selection of student leaders, male, female, and LGBTQ. Gender based selection in leadership is essential for achieving equality and inclusivity in decision making roles. It reflects the diversity of the community and ensure all genders are adequately represented. Research from the United Nations Development Program shows that gender parity in leadership improves governance and policy outcomes by incorporating diverse perspectives. Promoting gender-based selection fosters more equitable and inclusive decision-making environments. One prominent example of the gender-based leadership has significantly impacted political landscape like New Zealand, with female leaders like Jacinta Ardern demonstrating empathy, inclusivity, and effective decision making during crises like COVID 19. Ardern's approach emphasizes diverse leadership styles and representation, ensuring all genders have opportunities to lead and contribute meaningfully. Critics of gender based selection argue that leadership should solely focus on qualifications and skills rather than gender. However, this perspective overlooks systematic barriers that have historically marginalized women and LGBTQ individuals from leadership roles. Gender based selection is not about compromising merit, but ensuring that talented individuals from underrepresented groups have equitable opportunities to lead. Based on the study of Eklund et al. 2017, it is crucial to understand how gender relates to leadership. There is indeed a large gap between male and female genders and how both genders portray leadership roles. Furthermore, gender-based selection of student leader is crucial for addressing the unique needs of women, men, and LGBTQ individuals within an organization. This ensured that each gender group experiences unique challenges and perspective, fostering inclusivity, effectively responding to diverse concerns, and creating a more equitable environment for all members. For women, having female leaders in student organizations can advocate for gender equality, menstrual health safety, and representation in traditionally male dominated fields. They serve as a role models, breaking barriers and challenging stereotypes. Similarly, male leaders address challenges like mental health stigma and societal expectation of masculinity. LGBTQ students benefit from representation and leadership as it ensures their voices are heard and unique challenges are addressed. They can advocate for policies promoting inclusivity such as anti-discrimination guidelines and awareness campaigns. By selecting leaders based on gender, student organizations ensure that every group is represented, promoting fairness and equal opportunity. This approach recognizes that leadership is not one size fits all, and that diverse representation is essential for addressing the significant needs of each gender group. Gender based student leadership selection is crucial for creating an inclusive and effective organizational environment, promoting empathy, unity, fair representation, empowering individuals, and celebrating diversity, thus laying the foundation for a more equitable future. Thank you.
Now let's move on for the cross-examination of lead prosecutor and lead defendant. Each participant will have 3 minutes to respond to each question. The first question will be given by the team prosecutor. So you have
So,
3 minutes to start. Let's begin.
so according to the statement of the lead defense, you're saying that choosing a leader should be based on gender. So by focusing on gender based selection, aren't we risking division within the student body? For example, wouldn't some student feel excluded or overlooked if they perceive leadership roles as a predetermined based on their gender categories? So that would be my question.
So, the purpose of gender based selection is not to divide, but to unite through balanced representation. It creates a leadership framework where all genders feel seen and valued, fostering solidarity among students. Any perception of exclusion stems from misunderstanding the, the policy's intent, which is to uplift all groups rather than to prioritize one over another. It's about representation with merit, ensuring that diverse voices contribute to collective success and to have a equitable future of organization. That's all. However, However, from your statement, it overlooks the fact that despite the qualification, skills, and experience of women and LGBTQ plus individuals, they still face systematic barriers. So, how can we promote equal opportunities for leadership when systematic barriers still prevent women and LGBTQ plus individuals from having the same access to leadership roles?
I recognize the systematic barriers and biases exist, impacting the representation of women and LGBTQ individuals in leadership. To address this, we should implement measures such as mentorship programs for the aspiring leaders or the leaders itself, unconscious bias training in hiring and creating inclusive organizational cultures that nurture a diverse talent. These initiatives can help ensure that all qualified individuals have equal access to leadership opportunities without compromising the principle of merit.
Now let's move on to our stand of to our supporting prosecutor, and then after that is the supporting defense. You have 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to discuss your argument. Start.
Evil Riz Andrete supporting persecution. So gender-based selection and leadership undermines meritocracy and fosters tokenism rather than true equality. While diversity in decision-making roles is important, selecting leaders based on gender rather than qualifications or experience risks compromising the effectiveness of leadership rather than promoting inclusivity. Such approaches can perpetuate division and may lead to exclusion of highly qualified individuals who do not fit the prescribed gender quotas. True equality in leadership should be based on competence and merit, not gender, as the foundation for improved governance and policy outcomes. And to argue your statement about the experience of Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, gender-based leadership, as exemplified by figures like Jacinda Ardern, promotes inclusivity and diversity. It overlooks the it overlooks dangers of selecting leaders based on gender rather than merit. Focusing on gender in leadership selection risks elevating individuals due to their gender identity rather than their qualifications or experience. While Ardern's leadership may be honored, the emphasis should not be gender representation on the competence and effectiveness of the leader regardless of gender. Leadership, especially in times of crisis, should be about capability and proven performance, not about fulfilling gender quotas. And to give example or evidence, so Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is often hailed as one of the history's greatest leaders. His ability to navigate a nation on the brink of collapse and to inspire a generation while preserving the Union is a testament to his extraordinary character. Beyond the iconic image lies a complex man whose leadership qualities continues to fascinate and inspire. And next is Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen ruled for 70 years, longer than any other monarch in British history, becoming much loved and respected figure across the globe. It would have been so easy for her to rule the king, like dominating conversation, exerting her power, or making her physical presence felt. Nor, nor did she use her wealth and power make others feel less than. Throughout her leadership, she showed love, guidance, dignity, understanding, and respect. Feminine leadership qualities that were definitely not capabilities that were admired in a leader at the start of her reign. Abraham Lincoln and Queen Elizabeth II are two different leaders and of different genders, but they are both qualified as leaders, and they were able to run their respective countries well even though their policies were different. That's why choosing qualifications over gender is better.
Now let's hear from our supporting defense. Let's begin.
So good evening everyone. I'm Wendy Rino from in supporting defense. So in gender-based selection in achieving true equality and exclusivity within leadership structure, it aims to provide equitable opportunities for leadership, breaking down long-standing barriers and that have kept leadership position from predominantly in the hands of one gender. So diversity in leadership leads to better outcomes as research by the UNDP demonstrated that gender parity in leadership roles contributes to more holistic and diverse decision making. So gender-based selection in student student leadership is not merely a policy. It is a commitment to equity, exclusivity, and progress. So ensures that leadership reflects the diversity of the community it serves, addressing the needs of all members. And by embracing the approach, we create a leadership framework that empowers every gender group, foster unity, and builds a more equitable future. So this is not just about who leads. It is about how they lead and whom they represent. It is about giving every voice a platform, ensuring that leadership truly mirrors the richness of our collective identity. So let us embrace gender-based selection as a catalyst for transformative change.
Go, Vinyo. So let's move on to our cross-examination between two supporting debaters, supporting prosecutor, and supporting defense. Each participant will have 3 minutes to respond to each question. So the first question will be given by the supporting prosecutor. Begin.
So here's my question. Given given that gender-based elections aim to ensure balanced representation, how do you respond to the argument that such policy might inadvertently undermine merit-based selection and potentially lead to the appointment of the less qualified candidates in leadership roles?
That question will be answered by our supporting defense. Begin.
Hello, I am RoseBer Alisna, the supporting defense. The argument that gender-based selection undermines merit-based selection and potentially of leads to appointment points of both sides, while the goal of gender-based selection is to achieve balanced representation. It raises concerns about whether it might comprise the principle of selecting the most qualified individuals for leadership positions. That's all.
Any questions from the supporting defense to our supporting prosecutor?
Um, if we believe that leadership should reflect the diversity of the community it serves, how can we justify maintaining a leadership system that continue to exclude large portion of the student body, particularly women and LGBT++ individual, by relying solely to traditional merit-based criteria that have historically been based and exclusive? So that would be my question.
Sorry, can you please repeat it? It's a bit choppy.
If we believe that leadership should reflect the diversity of the community it serves, how can we justify maintaining a leadership system that continues to exclude large portion of the student body, particularly women and LGBT++ individuals, by relying solely on traditional merit-based criteria that have historically been based on exclusive? So that would be my question.
So, in order to advance equal leadership opportunities, we need to remove systemic obstacle by putting anti-discrimination and unconsciousness bias training policies into place. Programs of sponsorship and mentoring should be established. Leadership training for women and LGBTQ plus people
Ang
should
galing
be
mo.
provided and clear advancement standards should be maintained.
Okay. Thank you for all supporting all supporting prosecutor and supporting defense. So let's now move on to our rebuttals. So each debater will have 3 minutes to respond to the arguments made by the other side. So we'll begin with our first debater, which is the from our rebuttal speaker, persecution. So you have a 3 minutes again to respond to arguments.
So my name is Kian. I'm a rebuttal prosecution. So the argument for gender-based elections as a means to achieve inclusivity and representation, while admirable in intention, fundamentally undermines the principle of meritocracy, genuine equality. So they assert that gender-based leadership corrects systematic imbalance, yet this approach risks
Susunod na talaga
tokenism and the appointment of individuals based on gender rather than their qualifications, skills, and demonstrated ability to lead effectively. The defense argues that gender-based elections ensures inclusivity and representations, but it risks choosing leaders based on gender instead of merit, which undermines fairness and equality. Leadership should focus on skills, qualifications, and the ability to lead effectively, not fulfilling quotas. By prioritizing gender capabilities, individuals might be excluded, which creates division rather than unity. Instead of enforcing gender-based elections, we should address barriers through mentorship program, unbiased training, and anti-discrimination policies. Diversity should grow naturally from equal opportunities, not through enforced quotas that compromise meritocracy. So if gender-based selection prioritizes representation over merit, as your lead defense argue, how can you ensure that the chosen leaders have the skills and capabilities to represent the entire student body? Rather than focusing solely on their own gender or group, isn't leadership about serving everyone, not just fulfilling quotas?
Let's hear from our rebuttal speaker for the team defense. Begin.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Yap, and I will be presenting the rebuttal for defense. Um, the prosecutor argues that gender based selection undermines meritocracy, risks tokenism and might exclude more qualified individuals. They suggest that barriers to diversity can be addressed through equal opportunities like mentorship programs and anti discrimination policies instead of enforcing quotas. However, this argument fails to address the reality that meritocracy is not neutral in a system that has historically favored certain dominant groups. Without intentional efforts like gender based selection, those barriers they mentioned, such as biases and unequal access, will always persist, and diversity will always remain a distant goal. The risk of tokenism is a misconception. Women and LGBTQ individuals have always been excluded from leadership positions due to systemic biases, not because they lack the qualifications. Simply removing barriers without addressing these deep rooted biases does not create true equality. Gender based selection corrects this imbalance, ensuring to provide a platform for more qualified individuals from underrepresented groups to showcase their leadership skills, getting the opportunities they've always been historically denied of. So, gender based selection is not about compromising skills or qualifications, but about removing structural barriers to allow fair competition. For example, in Rwanda, where women hold 60% of the parliamentary seats, policies improved healthcare, education, and welfare for everyone, proving that gender inclusive leadership serves the entire community effectively, not just one group. Diversity strengthens leadership. It does not divide it. It works without lowering standards, ensuring everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed. Even research shows that diverse leadership teams perform better, according to studies from McKinsey and Company. Companies with greater gender diversity are 15% more likely to outperform their counterparts. So, to answer your question, gender based selection ensures that representation and merit work together by removing barriers that have historically excluded qualified individuals. It's not about choosing leaders based on gender, but about bringing diverse perspective to serve the entire community. True leadership requires inclusive representation, and without intentional actions, past biases will continue to exclude underrepresented groups. It enhances the quality of leadership, not diminish it. Mentorship alone cannot do on years of exclusion. Gender based selections ensures real, measurable change. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Um, do we have any questions from? Do we have any questions from our rebuttal speaker, Team Defense, to our rebuttal speaker prosecution?
Yes, we do have a question.
Okay, present.
Our question for the rebuttal of prosecution: if traditional merit based systems have already failed to ensure equal opportunities for women and LGBTQ individuals, how can you guarantee that your proposed solutions, mentorship, and anti discrimination policies will create diversity without intentional measures like gender based selection? That's all.
Okay, let's hear from our rebuttal speaker, Team Persecution.
So, alright, so traditional merit-based system may be flawed due to systematic barriers, but the solutions is not to replace meritocracy with gender-based selections. Instead, we should focus on improving this system through mentorship, anti-discrimination policies, and leadership training. These measures empower all individuals to succeed based on their skills and abilities, ensuring fairness and inclusivity without risking tokenism. While intentional measures like gender based elections might create diversity on the surface, they can undermine the credibility and confidence of leaders chosen primarily for representations. Real change happens when we remove biases and allow diversity to emerge naturally through fair opportunities. That's all.
Alright, thank you. Now we've reached the final round of statements. Each debater will have 3 to 5 minutes to summarize their key points and make their closing argument. So let's begin with our first debater, which is from the team persecution, the closing speaker. So the floor is yours. Start.
My name is G.V. Enriquez, summarizer of team prosecution. The lead statement asserts that leadership should be determined by qualification, skills, and experience, and not the ability to lead rather than gender. By restricting leadership opportunities based on gender, society not only overlooks talented individuals but also reinforces harmful stereotypes. Research supports the notation that effective leadership is about skills and performance. A diverse leadership team composed of individuals from various backgrounds enhance the environment of empowers students by providing relatable role model. Despite an increase in a woman leadership roles, a significant gender gap in political participation persists. Students indicate that women in leadership positions positively influence policy outcomes and contribute to more effective decision-making processes. Therefore, it's crucial to promote equal opportunities for all individuals regardless of gender to pursue leadership roles, fostering an inclusive and equitable environment where everyone can thrive. Leadership should be based on individual qualification and capabilities rather than gender, promoting diversity in, in leadership not only empowers all students but also lead to better decision making and politically comes as society continues to advance. It is vital to ensure equal opportunities for everyone to aspire to leadership roles, fostering an inclusive environment that benefits all.
Thank you for that. Now let's proceed to our last speaker from the team defense, their closing speaker. Proceed.
Princess Anang, closing defense. Honorable judges, esteemed debaters, and members of the House, we rest our case by emphasizing that gender-based selection for student leaders is not about dividing us, but about ensuring that everyone has fair chance to lead and be heard. Leadership is stronger and more meaningful when it reflects the diversity of the people it serves. Based on research from Ohio State University in 2017 about the campus involvement and leadership, wherein they focus on gender differences, the results say that gender based selection of student leaders highlights significant disparities in representation. Research shows that male students are more likely to hold leadership position than their female and LGBTQ++ peers, largely due to cultural stereotypes that associate leadership with masculinity. Female students often face obstacles such as societal expectations and underrepresentation, which limit their opportunities to pursue their leadership roles. While some programs aim to promote gender sensitive leadership, their impact is inconsistent and many fail to address the specific challenge faced by the LGBTQ++ individuals in leadership positions. So, by giving them equal opportunity to males, females, and members of the LGBTQ++ community, we create a leadership team that is inclusive and representative of all voices. This is not just about fairness, it's about the empowering individuals to bring their unique perspectives, talents, and experiences to the table, making decisions that truly benefit everyone. So we need leaders who understand the different challenges people face, who can work together despite their difference, and who can others by showing everyone, regardless of their identity, has the potential to lead. Let's build a future where leadership is a reflection of all of us. So thank you. That's my case.
To properly close this tonight's event, I would like to thank everyone, both teams, for your thoughtful arguments today. It's been a pleasure to moderate this debate. Thank you everyone for your attention and participation. It's been a lively discussion, and I hope rather, you've we all gained a valuable insight into this important topic. To conclude this debate, we encourage everyone to continue the conversation on our GC and stay engaged in these important issues. Have a great day, have a great evening rather, and thank you once again for being here. Disclose. Clap, clap, clap.